Have you ever felt different? Like there's something about you that sets you apart from everyone else? Have you ever felt lost, as if you don't quite belong in this world? If you've ever had these thoughts, listen closely, because there's a chance that you are one of the chosen ones, someone handpicked by God, woven into God's plan for you before you were even born. But here's what most people don't realize: chosen ones often don't know they've been chosen. They aren't born with a mark on their forehead. They don't wake up one day to a voice from the heavens telling them their destiny. Instead, they go through unimaginable hardships, they feel misunderstood, they have mystical dreams, and above all, they carry this deep, unshakable feeling that their life holds a purpose far greater than they've ever imagined. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. Jeremiah 1 verse 5. What you're feeling is not a coincidence. This is God's word speaking to you. Have you ever had a moment where everything seemed to align in ways you couldn't explain? A stranger appears at just the right time with the words you needed to hear? A door opens for you just as you were about to give up? Or maybe a Bible story suddenly speaks to your soul in a way it never has before, right when you needed it most? If this sounds familiar, then you are not alone. In Bible stories, God never chose perfect people. He chose Joseph, a young man betrayed by his own brothers and sold into slavery. He chose Moses, a man who doubted himself and ran from his calling. He chose David, a simple shepherd boy who became one of the greatest kings in history. At some point, they all felt lost. But one day, they realized that their struggles were never random, they were part of something much greater. And maybe, just maybe, God is calling you right now. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light for my path. Psalm 119 verse 105. This is one of the most important things you need to understand. Not everyone realizes they are a chosen one. Some people spend their whole lives searching for answers and never find them. Some ignore the signs until it's too late. But not you. You are here. You are listening. And that means something. Because in this video, we're going to uncover 7 powerful signs that can reveal whether you are a chosen one. If you miss these signs, you may continue feeling lost for a long time without ever understanding why. But if you recognize them, if you truly open your heart, you might just discover the path that God has laid out for you since the moment you were born. So, what is the first sign? And here's the shocking part. It may have been right in front of you this entire time, but you never noticed it. If you believe that God has chosen you, comment below, "I am a chosen one." And don't forget to subscribe to Grace Bible Stories, because we have so much more to explore together. Now, let's step into the first sign. Number 1. You have faced more challenges than others. Have you ever felt like life is harder for you than it is for others? As if, no matter how hard you try, you always have to go through obstacles and hardships? While others seem to walk on a smooth path, you keep encountering failure, pain, and even betrayal. But pause for a moment and think, this may not be an injustice. This may actually be a sign that God is preparing you for a greater purpose. In Bible stories, we see a recurring pattern. Those chosen by God must first endure trials before they can fulfill God's plan for you. Look at Joseph. As a young man, he had prophetic dreams that one day, he would rise to greatness. But instead of being celebrated, he was betrayed by his own brothers and sold into slavery. When it seemed like he was finally finding his way, he was falsely accused and thrown into prison, losing everything. At that moment, Joseph must have asked himself, "Why is this happening to me? What did I do to deserve this?" But what he didn't know was that God was testing him, shaping him into a person capable of carrying greater responsibility. And then, from a prisoner in a dark cell, Joseph was elevated to the ruler of all Egypt, saving millions from famine. Genesis 37-50. Suffering produces perseverance, perseverance, character, and character, hope. Romans 5 verses 3-4. This applies to you, too. If you are facing hardships, don't think that God has abandoned you. He is refining you. The difficulties you are going through are not punishments, but preparation. God's word teaches us that only those who are tested by fire can become pure gold. Maybe you have experienced betrayal from the people you trusted the most. Losing something important in your life without understanding why. Endless struggles, no matter how hard you try. If this sounds familiar, know that you are not alone. God does not call the weak, He strengthens those He calls. Spiritual awakening does not happen in comfort. It happens when you are pushed to your limits, making you realize that you cannot rely on the world, you can only rely on God. Christian prophecy has made this clear: those who are chosen will be tested before they are blessed. You are not being abandoned, you are being prepared. So, have you been going through challenges that you don't understand? Share your story in the comments below. Together, we can uncover the meaning behind these trials. And if you feel like these words are speaking directly to your life, hit subscribe to Grace Bible Stories today, because we have so much more to explore together. But trials are not the only sign. There's something else that many chosen ones experience, but not everyone recognizes. That is, powerful dreams and an unshakable intuition, messages from God that only you can feel. Have you ever had this experience? Let's discover the next sign. Number 2, you have a strong intuition or prophetic dreams. Have you ever had a feeling deep inside that something was about to happen, and then it did? Have you ever woken up from a dream so vivid, so real, that you knew it was more than just your imagination? If so, you might be experiencing one of the clearest signs that you are a chosen one. Throughout Bible stories, we see that God has always spoken to His people through visions, dreams, and a deep sense of intuition. Look at Daniel, a man gifted by God to interpret dreams and reveal divine messages. When King Nebuchadnezzar was troubled by a mysterious dream, no one could explain its meaning except Daniel. Through faith and wisdom given by God, Daniel not only interpreted the dream but also revealed secrets that no human could have known. Daniel 2 verses 19-23. I will pour out my spirit on all people. Your sons and daughters will prophesy, your young men will see visions. Acts 2 verse 17. What does this mean for you? It means that if you have ever had strong intuitive feelings or dreams that later came true, you should not ignore them. This could be God's word speaking to you. Maybe you felt a warning before something bad happened. Maybe you've had a vision of something before it became reality. These are not coincidences, they are signs that you are spiritually connected to God's plan for you. You may have noticed that you sense danger before it happens. Have dreams that reveal messages or future events. Feel a strong pull towards something, even when you don't understand why. These are not accidents. They are part of spiritual awakening, the process of opening your soul to the divine messages that others fail to see. Christian prophecy tells us that in the last days, visions and prophetic dreams will increase. Perhaps you are part of this unfolding prophecy. If you've experienced this, don't ignore it. Pray, seek understanding, and trust that God is revealing something important to you. So, have you ever had a dream or intuition that later came true? Share your story in the comments below. And if you feel that these words are speaking to your soul, hit subscribe to Grace Bible Stories, because we have even more powerful revelations ahead. But intuition and dreams are just one piece of the puzzle. There's another sign that sets chosen ones apart, the unique energy that attracts certain souls, especially children and animals. Have you ever noticed this? Let's explore the next sign. Number 3, you have a mysterious connection with children and animals. Have you ever noticed that children and animals seem naturally drawn to you? Maybe a baby locks eyes with you and smiles, or a stray dog follows you down the street. Perhaps animals feel comfortable around you, even when they're usually shy with others. If this sounds familiar, it could be a powerful sign that you are a chosen one. In Bible stories, we see that those who carry divine light often have a special connection with the purest souls, children and animals. Jesus himself said, "Let the little children come to me." Matthew 19 verse 14. Why? Because children have an innate ability to sense God's word within people. They are drawn to truth, to warmth, and to the light of the divine. If children and animals are naturally attracted to you, it means your spirit radiates something different, something sacred. Let your light shine before others. Matthew 5 verse 16. This connection is not just a coincidence. It is part of God's plan for you. Many chosen ones are given a spiritual awakening that allows them to become protectors, healers, and guides for those who are most vulnerable. Children and animals sense this energy. They do not judge based on appearances, they respond to what is deep inside you. Think about it. Have you ever been in a situation where a child you barely know suddenly trusts you completely? Animals react to you with an unusual sense of calm and comfort. You feel a deep connection with nature and all living beings. This is not by chance. Christian prophecy tells us that those who walk in the light of God will be seen as beacons of hope by the innocent. Your presence alone can bring peace, comfort, and healing. If this resonates with you, understand that this is not something to take lightly. It means you have a calling to bring love, protection, and wisdom to the world. Your presence may be meant to guide others towards faith and understanding. But this is just one more piece of the puzzle. There's another sign that sets chosen ones apart, a deep sense of not belonging to this world, as if your soul is meant for something greater. Have you ever felt this way? Let's dive into the next sign. Number 4, you feel like you don't belong to this world. Have you ever felt like an outsider, as if no matter where you are, you don't quite fit in? Have you looked at the world around you and thought, there has to be more than this? If so, this could be a powerful sign that you are a chosen one. Throughout Bible stories, we see that God often calls his people out of the familiar and into something greater. Abraham is one of the clearest examples. He was living comfortably in his homeland when God told him to leave everything behind and go to an unknown land, one that would later become the Promised Land, Genesis 12 verses 1 to 3. Abraham could have stayed where life was easy, but God's plan for you is never about staying comfortable, it's about stepping into something greater. You do not belong to the world, but I have chosen you out of the world. John 15 verse 19. If you have always felt like you don't quite belong, that the way the world operates doesn't sit right with you, it may be because you were never meant to fit in, you were meant to stand out. Many chosen ones experience this deep sense of separation, feeling as though they are walking a different path than everyone else. This isn't a curse, it's a calling. You might notice that you struggle to connect with worldly desires and materialism. Feel drawn to a higher purpose, even if you don't fully understand it yet. Often sense that there's something beyond what we can see, a greater spiritual truth. This feeling is not something to be afraid of, it's an invitation. Spiritual awakening often begins with a sense of dissatisfaction with the world as it is. God's word tells us that those who are called will never feel completely at home in this world, because their true home is with God. Christian prophecy has long foretold that in the last days, those who are chosen will feel increasingly separate from the ways of the world. You are not lost, you are being set apart. If this resonates with you, don't ignore it. Seek God, lean into your purpose, and trust that He is guiding you towards something greater. So, Have you ever felt like you don't belong in this world? Share your experience in the comments below. And if this message speaks to your soul, hit subscribe to Grace Bible Stories, because we are uncovering powerful truths that you won't want to miss. But there's more. There's another sign that sets chosen ones apart, a deep sense of mission, as if you are being prepared for something significant. Have you ever felt that pull? Let's explore the next sign. Number 5. You have the ability to heal or inspire others. Have you ever noticed that people naturally come to you when they need comfort, guidance, or encouragement? You may not even try, but somehow, those around you feel lighter, more hopeful, and at peace in your presence. If you have the ability to inspire, heal emotional wounds, and bring hope to others, then this may be a sign that God has chosen you to be a light in this world. Throughout Bible stories, we see that those chosen by God often carry the power to heal, not just physically, but spiritually and emotionally as well. Jesus healed the sick and comforted the brokenhearted, showing compassion to those who had been cast aside. Moses led the Israelites out of slavery, bringing both physical and spiritual liberation. These figures did not seek out power for themselves, but rather, they answered a divine calling to bring healing and transformation to others. As it is written in Isaiah 40 verse 1, "Comfort, comfort my people, says your God." If people naturally open up to you, if you find yourself knowing exactly what to say to bring peace to someone in distress, or if your presence alone seems to uplift those around you, this is not by accident. God's plan for you may be to serve as a guide, a source of wisdom, or a healer in some way. You do not have to be a great leader or a well-known speaker to fulfill this role. Sometimes, the most profound healing comes from small acts of kindness, a listening ear, or words of encouragement at the right moment. If you have this gift, it is not something to take lightly. It is not just a personality trait, it is a calling. God's word teaches us that those who bring light to others are fulfilling a sacred purpose. If you have the ability to uplift and heal, it means that you are meant to bring hope where there is despair. Never underestimate the impact of a kind word, a helping hand, or a moment of compassion, because one act of healing can change a life. But healing isn't just about the soul. Many chosen ones experience profound changes in their own body and mind, transformations that others cannot understand. Have you ever felt this shift within yourself? Let's explore the next sign. Number 6. Your body and mind experience profound changes. Those who are chosen by God do not only undergo spiritual changes, they also experience transformations in their body and mind. When you enter a period of spiritual awakening, you may feel a shift in your energy, an increase in awareness, or even physical sensations when you pray or meditate on God's Word. Some chosen ones report having intense dreams, heightened intuition, or moments of deep spiritual clarity that they cannot explain. If you have noticed these changes, you may be experiencing the divine process of transformation. In Bible stories, we see that when God calls someone for a higher purpose, their entire being is affected. Moses, after receiving the 10 Commandments on Mount Sinai, came down with his face shining so brightly that people could not even look at him. His encounter with God changed not only his spirit but also his physical appearance. Saul, before becoming Paul, was blinded by a divine light when Jesus called him, and for 3 days, he could not see until he was spiritually awakened to his new purpose. These transformations were not coincidences, they were clear signs of God's plan for you unfolding. For we will be changed, in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet. 1 Corinthians 15 verses 51 to 52. Have you ever felt an unexplainable surge of energy while praying? Have you had a sudden realization about your life's purpose? Have you experienced moments where everything around you seemed to slow down, and you gained a new level of clarity? These are not ordinary experiences. They are signals that God is working in you, shaping you for something greater. Some signs that you may be experiencing a divine transformation include feeling a deep sense of peace and clarity after prayer. gaining a heightened awareness of your purpose and the meaning of life. Experiencing intense moments of spiritual awakening, where you feel profoundly connected to God. These changes are not something to fear, they are part of your spiritual awakening. Christian prophecy tells us that those who are called will undergo transformations to prepare them for their divine purpose. If you are experiencing these shifts, it is not by accident. It is because you are being set apart for something extraordinary. But there is one final sign that ties everything together. Many chosen ones feel a deep, undeniable sense of purpose, as if they are being prepared for something great. Have you ever felt that calling within you? Let's explore the final sign. Number 7. You feel a great mission waiting for you. Deep inside, you have always felt that you were born to do something significant. You may not know exactly what it is yet, but there is an undeniable calling within you, something you cannot ignore. If you have always sensed that your life has a purpose greater than what you've been told, then this may be the final sign confirming that you are a chosen one. Throughout Bible stories, we see that those who are chosen by God often feel this sense of purpose long before they fully understand it. Esther was not just born to be a queen, she was destined to save an entire nation. Though she may not have seen her true purpose at first, God placed her in a position where she had to rise up and embrace her calling. Jeremiah, from a young age, felt God's call on his life, yet he was afraid. He doubted himself and questioned whether he was strong enough. But God had already chosen him, and no amount of fear could change the plan that had been set before him. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29 verse 11. Many chosen ones feel this calling but struggle with doubt. They wonder, why me, or am I really capable of something great? But God does not choose those who are already strong, He strengthens those He chooses. If you feel a pull towards something bigger, a mission that requires you to step outside of your comfort zone, then God's plan for you may be unfolding right before your eyes. Do you recognize these feelings in yourself? A deep conviction that you are not meant to live an ordinary life. A hunger for truth and a desire to seek real meaning in life. A strong urge to guide, help, or inspire others. This is not a coincidence. Spiritual awakening happens when God starts revealing His purpose for you. Christian prophecy has shown that those who are called will feel an overwhelming sense of duty, even when they don't fully understand it. If you feel this in your heart, know this: God never places a mission inside of you without giving you the strength to fulfill it. You are not alone. You have been chosen, and your journey is only beginning. What should you do next? You've seen the signs. You felt the calling. Now, the real question is, what will you do with it? Throughout Bible stories, we see that when God calls someone, they are faced with a choice. Jesus called His disciples, and they left everything behind to follow Him. Moses was called to lead his people, and he had to overcome his fears to step into his destiny. Esther had to make the decision to risk everything in order to save her people. Being chosen by God is not just about knowing, it's about acting in faith. Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, "Whom shall I send? And who will go for us?" And I said, "Here am I, send me." Isaiah 6 verse 8. If you recognize these signs in yourself, don't ignore them. Faith requires action. Maybe you have been feeling lost, uncertain, or hesitant, but God does not call the perfect, He perfects those He calls. The struggles, the intuition, the deep sense of purpose, all of it has been preparing you for something greater. So what should you do next? Seek faith through the Bible stories and God's Word. The answers are there for those who seek them. Stop avoiding the trials in your life. They are meant to strengthen you, not break you. Shine the light God has placed within you. You are not meant to keep it hidden. What if you ignore this calling? What happens if you push these feelings aside? What if you convince yourself that you are not meant for something greater? Throughout the Bible, we see examples of people who hesitated before embracing their calling. Peter denied Jesus 3 times, afraid of what might happen if he admitted his faith. But later, he became one of the strongest voices in spreading the gospel. Jonah ran from God's mission, but he could not escape his true purpose. If you try to ignore God's plan for you, you may always feel lost, unfulfilled, and searching for something you cannot name. Imagine looking back on your life one day and realizing that God had been calling you all along, but you never answered. That feeling of regret can last a lifetime. But today, you have a choice. God does not force anyone to follow him, but he does give you an invitation. He is calling you right now. Will you answer? Before we end, I want to take a moment to thank you for watching until the end. The fact that you are still here means you are searching for something greater, and that is not a coincidence. Do you believe you are a chosen one? If this message speaks to your soul, comment below, "I am a chosen one," and let us know how God has been calling you. If you found value in this video, share it with someone who needs to hear this message. You never know whose life you might change with just one click. And if you are ready to continue this journey of faith, subscribe to Grace Bible Stories so you don't miss future videos that will help you grow in faith, understand God's Word, and discover the incredible plan He has for you. This is just the beginning. Stay strong, stay faithful, and keep walking in the light of His plan.